Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy, the one-stop destination for the Civil Services English medium aspirants. Welcome to the initiative that is Conquer Prelims 2024. We are almost reaching the last leg of this initiative. If you have been liking the initiative, do not forget to pour your love in the form of shares, comments, likes, and do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Today, we are here to discuss government schemes Part 2. We discussed government schemes Part 1 yesterday. We will also be having a session tomorrow, which is Part 3. But before we begin, an important announcement. As important as it is to study for prelims and revise for prelims, it is equally important to test yourself for prelims. Why is that test important? It will give you the opportunity to course correct, to figure out those areas in which you are getting questions wrong, in those areas that you need to go back and revise. It will be the best utilization of your time because you'll be able to figure out where you need to invest more time in the coming 15 days. So what are the dates for Conquer Prelims? One happened today, which is 29th of May. Another Conquer Prelims, another UIA PMT will happen on the 2nd of June. Please make sure that you know the date. It will be, the timings for the GS will be 9:30 a.m. and for CSAT will be 2:30 p.m. Don't miss this particular exam because it will give you a very good opportunity to check where you stand on an all India basis. That rank will be somewhat very close to how you are going to perform in the prelims examination. Having said that, now let's dive into today's session with our question number 1. Please be ready for your poll. You will get about 60 seconds. Attempt the poll and then we will discuss this question in a lot of depth. Very important questions, even though these schemes have become old, as in they were launched quite a few years back, but they are very important schemes. They have been extended again and again, so it's important at least to know basics about the scheme. Read the question and attempt the poll, please. Done? Let's dive into the discussion relating to this question. And first, let's see what have you voted for. Maximum of you have voted for B, which is 38%. Let's discuss this. Consider the following statements. The first statement is Startup India and the Standup India are initiatives by the same ministry. Is that true or is that incorrect? Let's figure out. This is the analysis between two schemes. We will not take a lot of time because your time is extremely precious. That is why these ready notes, a quick comparison between the two schemes. Startup India is a scheme launched by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and DPIIT, which is a department under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, is responsible for Startup India. Standup India, on the other hand, is been launched by the Ministry of Finance. Point number 1, there is a difference between the ministries. They are not launched by the same ministry. And also please note, it is not Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. It's not MSP. while you're preparing for prelims, it's important to know which is the correct answer, but it's also important to know which is not the correct answer in order to help you solve MCQs and eliminate the statements. All right, let's discuss our point number 2. So first becomes incorrect. They are not launched by the same ministry. Second statement, the eligible beneficiaries under the Stand-Up India initiative can only be scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and women. So it is targeted for a particular section. Only a few kind of eligible beneficiaries are to be taken up or can be eligible for the Stand-Up India initiative. It is absolutely correct. Only these sections, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and women, are the eligible beneficiaries in the Startup India initiative. Absolutely correct. Do not worry, we will discuss this at length in the next slide. The statement 3 says only the greenfield projects. What do you mean by the greenfield projects? Greenfield projects means any new enterprise. Any new enterprise. So any new enterprise that you are wishing to establish, a beneficiary is wishing to establish, can make the project eligible, but you cannot obtain funds for an already existing enterprise. So the first criteria is that it has to be a greenfield project, which is a new project. And in which sector? Can it be the farm sector? Can it be the agricultural sector? No, it can only be in the non-farm sector. What are your non-farm sectors? Manufacturing and services. So this is important and is sufficient for you to remove the options in your MCQs and get to the right option. So it says in the non-farm sector, it will be supported under the Stand-Up India initiative. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So what was the only incorrect statement? It was 1. Now let's dive into the discussion, then we will mark the question again. So when you do a comparison between the two schemes, Startup India, as the word suggests, as the name suggests, will be for every kind of startup. There will not be a beneficiary limitation in terms of only a section. A particular section can be favored, but it cannot be limited to a particular beneficiary. Clear? What are the benefits that they will basically get in the Startup India initiative? The benefits are going to be in the form of easier compliance, tax compliance, easier certifications. They might not have to be inspected every time, but they could self-certify a lot of documents, maybe for taxation. Easier funding, so easy access to loans in the form of easy loans given by financial institutions will be provided also to the startups. So these are the benefits in the Startup India initiative. It becomes very important to note that what does the government of India consider a startup? The startup is any enterprise whose date of incorporation, that it came into a legal entity, came into being a legal entity, it should not be exceed 10 years. So in the last 10 years, if a new enterprise has come into being, has been legalized, that can be considered a startup. Please remember the year, it is 10 years. The second important criteria is that the annual turnover should not exceed 100 crores for the startup in any given year. Of these 10 years, in any given year, it should not exceed 100 crore. Clear? And the third important criteria is that it should be an original entity. What do you mean by an original entity? It should not be a startup which is a subsidiary of an already existing company. It should be a new company, not a subsidiary of an already existing company. So these are few things that tell you that what can be recognized as a startup, and these are the benefits that they get in the Startup India initiative. When it comes to the Stand-Up India initiative, it is particularly to increase the entrepreneurship in order to help a few sections to increase their entrepreneurship related skills. How would we do that? First of all, let's take care of the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries we've understood are scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and women. Please remember, this is important. This can be framed. The second is that the loan amount. What can be the loan amount? Can it be only 10 lakhs? No. It can be anywhere between 10 lakhs to 100 lakhs. That is the loan amount. Clear? It should be a new enterprise, as we have already checked in the question. It should be a greenfield initiative, a new enterprise in the non-farm sector. Clear? The loans basically will be, they can get collateral free loans, etc., because they will be given the guarantee or refinanced using the government institution. So it will be easier for these sections to get loans. That is the more or less objective. Even if you do this much, it's easy for you to solve the MCQ. These small pointers come in handy when you're solving these questions. Let's see what the answer is now. I hope this question is clear. How many of the given statements is or are correct? 2 statements are correct. Therefore, our answer is B. B is our answer. So congratulations, most of you have gotten this question right. All right. Please remember that it's 2 different ministries, and it is not MSME. For your convenience, I will also write not MSME here, so that it's easier to remember. Okay, now let's move on to our next question. Please attempt this question and then we will discuss it. The poll is live. You will get about 60 seconds. Request you all to attempt it. A very important scheme indeed. It has been in the news. It's a recently launched scheme. We need to have a discussion on the same. Yes, are we done? Let's see what you all have marked. So most of you, more than 50%, have marked A as the answer. Let's see how does this fare. Consider the following statements. So one is a Sphoorti initiative and the other scheme that we are talking about is PM Vishwakarma. Are they 2 related? There was a reason that I put these 2 schemes together, so it's easier for you to remember that the 2 schemes are for the same eligible beneficiaries. Clear? And it will also avoid the confusion when you see the slide, which is a comparison between the 2. So Sphoorti Initiative and PM Vishwakarma. What are these schemes? Sphoorti Initiative has been there for a long time. PM Vishwakarma is a recent scheme. So Sphoorti is scheme of fund for regeneration of traditional industries. Who are the members? Who are the individuals involved in the traditional industries? The artisans, the local artisans. The artisans may be in a handloom sector, etc. They are involved in the traditional industries. So that is Sphoorti. And PM Vishwakarma. PM Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma used to be, it was considered the god of artisans, and therefore this scheme also particularly is targeting the local artisans which are involved in any handloom related activity, be it cobblers, be it potters, be it goldsmith, be it blacksmith. They all are involved, or they can be, almost 18 of them, 18 crafts or artisans or type of artisans are included as beneficiaries under the PM Vishwakarma scheme. So the eligible beneficiaries are the same. The objective is the same. The objective is to increase the income of the artisans. Clear about this? But the type, what the 2 schemes are doing, that differs. Okay, so this Sphoorti scheme aims to organize. What it is doing is it's doing it more in a organizational pattern. It will organize local artisans into clusters, like how you have self-help groups where a lot of members can come together and take up economic activities. They can get easier finance, easier loans, etc. So here the idea is to make clusters of a lot of artisans, traditional artisans in the traditional industries, and then the government will fund these clusters. You do not have to remember the exact funding, but funds will be provided to these clusters to take up what? To take up skilling, to take up new economic initiatives, to increase marketing, to increase upgradation of technology, to increase the purchase of toolkits, etc. All that can be done using these funds. So please remember this point. Does the government fund these clusters? In Sphoorti, there are clusters and the government funds these clusters. For what? And what does the components of these schemes include? Skilling is an important component. Marketing. They will also provide marketing support. A lot of time these traditional industries require a marketing support in the fast-paced globalized world. And also common facilities will be provided. For instance, common handloom, common power looms for textile industries, etc. can be provided in order for the total or rental options can also be provided so that one person's burden of buying a particular equipment lessens. Clear? The second is different because that is not about clusters. It is about individual artisans. So in PM Vishwakarma, assistance will be provided to traditional artisans and craftsmen. Who are these? Who are taking up any handloom related activities, non-mechanized activities. Clear? So credit support will be given. Credit support will be given in the form of what? Collateral free loans. You do not need a collateral. They do not have to pledge their property in order to avail loans, so it becomes easier to avail loans. So credit support in the form of collateral free loans as well as concessional interest. You do not have to remember what is the interest subvention, what should be the interest. I will still tell you it will be 5% a concessional interest, but just remember the point that collateral free loans will be given to artisans and concessional interest will be provided so that it's easier to access finance. Which are the other components of it? They will obviously be skilled. They will be skilled so that they can increase their skill set from the already acquired skills, and during their skilling they will be provided a stipend. You do not again have to remember the exact amount, just remember what will be done. So they will be provided a stipend and they will be incentivized to buy new toolkits. They will also be incentivized to take up digital transaction. For instance, open a RuPay or access a RuPay debit card. For instance, open a Jan Dhan account so that their financial inclusion is also checked. They will also be given marketing support like the Sphoorti scheme as well. Did you understand? The target audience is the same, but the way the scheme is helping is different. One is with clustered approach and the other is with individual support. That is the difference. Can you see? And now please understand, another point to be noted is that these two schemes are by the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, MSME. The other schemes we've already done, these are the initiative of MSME. Clear about this? Yes. All right. So now let's understand the question. Consider the following statements. Sphoorti initiative and PM Vishwakarma initiative both are targeted to increase the income of traditional artisans. Almost the same beneficiaries. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I had deliberately put these two schemes together. This is the recent scheme that you need to focus on. not the first, but it's important to note so that you do not get confused. The second is PM Vishwakarma scheme will involve no credit support to the beneficiary and will be limited to training and marketing support. This is incorrect. Training support, other than training and marketing support, credit will also be given. How much credit we don't need to know, but credit will be given also in the form of collateral loans, collateral-free loans, as well as concessional credit. Please remember these 2 points. That should be enough. Point number 3. The nodal ministry for both the schemes is the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Absolutely incorrect. We have just noticed that the ministry is micro, small and medium enterprises, MSME. So how many of the given statements is or are correct? Only one statement is correct. Therefore, A is our answer. So congratulations, most of you have gotten this question right. Now that we've discussed this fully, we will move on to our next question. Please note that all these slides that I give you, I try to tell you not just what is, but what is not. This is how we approach MCQs. It's important. Like how yesterday we did which are the states which do not have a PVTG. That will help us in remembering or removing options in MCQs. So you also make that effort when you are revising. Have a smart approach to studying. Let's move on to our next question. Also, I've added a important reference. You can check this out if you're doing PM Vishwakarma. It's easy for you to remember. These are the traditional artisans, the type of traditional artisans which are included. Credit support is already provided. Skill upgradation, marketing, training, digital training, we've already talked about. Figures you do not have to remember. The utility is quite less. How many figures can you possibly remember? It is quite difficult. All right, let's move on to our next question. Consider the following statements. Again, a very important question. UPSC has previously asked a PYQ on MSME criteria as well. So please attempt this and then we will discuss it. Thank you for the appreciation on the handwritten notes. We try to provide the best here in Conquer Prelims for you. Last few seconds, everyone. Are we done? All right. Let's see how many of you have voted for what. Yes. So maximum of you, that is 51%, have voted for B. Let's analyze this question now. All right. Consider the following statements. According to the revised definition, why is this important? There has been a question, let me tell you, on the criterias, on which criterias. There are certain criterias in terms of investment in plant and machinery, in terms of turnover limits that help us in determining if a particular industry can be called an MSME or not. I hope you all are clear. This is micro, small, medium enterprises. There has been a question. Now there was a criteria that was existing, but recently a new criteria, a revised criteria has been adopted, and UPSC had asked on the same. So it's important to note, I have changed the way they have asked so that you get some amount of clarity when it comes to MSME classification. Okay, so first statement says, according to the revised definition of MSME, the manufacturing, so two different sections. Manufacturing manufacturing and service industries have different investment and turnover criteria. This used to be the case earlier. This used to be the case earlier in the not when there was the original classification, not in the revised classification, that there was a different criteria in terms of investment and turnover for manufacturing and a different criteria for the services. Now they have made a common comprehensive criteria. It's not different for manufacturing or services. Let's check an important slide and then we'll come back to this. Look at this, please. Can you see this? This was the old criteria. The old criteria is different. The manufacturing is different and service is different. And what is the criteria based on? It is based on two things. One is investment in plant and machinery and equipment, and the other is the turnover limits. Clear? So now what has changed? This can be a question again. Earlier they had given a figure to ask what is included in a medium enterprise. Now they can make a statement like the statement that we made right now. Now the new criteria is that there is only the same criteria applies to both manufacturing and services. What are the criteria? It's important to note that I've also added a small way to remember it. Just remember 1 crore investment. So only an enterprise which is investing in the plant and machinery up to 1 crore and whose turnover is below 5 crore. So below 1 crore investment and below 5 crore turnover. Just remember this for micro. Just remember this for micro industry. Now multiply it with 10. So your small becomes 1 crore into 10 is 10 crore and your turnover becomes 5 crore into 10 is 50 crore. So just remember for micro and then multiply it with 2. So your medium enterprises other than small enterprises will become 20 and the turnover will become 100. So into 10 when you're switching from micro to small and into 2 when you're switching from small to medium. And the initial criteria that you will remember is 1 crore for investment and 5 crore for turnover for micro. And then you can just do into 10 and into 2. Is this understood? But one common criteria now, it is not different. I've written a few important points which can be asked again. The limits have been increased as compared to the old criteria. The limits has been increased. The amount that can be taken as investment or turnover has increased. The second statement that can be formed is that it is the same for manufacturing and service sectors. It is not different. The last point that is important, which we'll come back with our particular question. Now let's come back to our question. So the first statement becomes incorrect because the statement is saying that it is different for manufacturing and services. Absolutely incorrect. Second statement, the ramp scheme. Now this is not so important that you get into too many details. Even if you just remember the term and the objective, it will be sufficient. The RAM scheme was launched with the Asian Development Bank assistance to support the MSMEs after COVID. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of MSMEs took a hit in the form of lack of sales, closed, or a lockdown that was imposed in terms of no liquidity or a daily basis sale that they were initially doing. So they were facing a lot of problem and they had to be supported for reviving them. And that was done. That was done by the help not of the Asian Development Bank but the World Bank. Quickly tell me now the two schemes that we did yesterday, which were for skilling and training purposes, that we used the support of World Bank. Please try to tell me in the comments. Let's see how much of revision that you have done from yesterday's class. The two schemes that were with Sankalp and Strive. Excellent, everyone. Sankalp and Strive were the schemes in the area of skill development using the World Bank support. Excellent. So let's understand this particular scheme as well. RAM scheme, raising and accelerating MSME performance. Now, you do not have to get into too many details of how it will be done. They will improve the market and credit access to MSMEs. They will make governance simpler for MSMEs to file their returns, etc. They will also address the issue of delayed payments to them, and they will help in greening. What do you mean by greening? In taking up technologies which are environment friendly. So maybe more greener energy options, etc. Do not need to do a lot in this, but just remember that RAM scheme is, what is the objective? For reviving the MSME sector. Second important point, whose support is been provided for this scheme? It is the World Bank. Is this clear? Two things, MSME, World Bank. Yes? Now let's come to our, so this is absolutely incorrect. It is not ADB, it is World Bank. Statement number 3. Out of the micro, small and medium industries, only the loans given to the micro industries can qualify under the priority sector lending. This is incorrect. The priority sector lending is what? Priority sector lending is the mandatory lending which have to be given a particular type of mandate given to the scheduled commercial banks, where they have to provide loans to certain sections, certain sectors, such as agriculture, such as MSME, such as renewable energy, etc. So all the loans given in the MSME sector, not just micro, will qualify for PSL. Is this clear? All MSME loans, not just micro. That is important. So third is incorrect. Third is incorrect. It says how many of the given statements is or are correct? D is our answer. None of the given statements is or are correct. Clear, everyone? No problem if you've gotten this question wrong. We are here to provide you with these last bits, to confuse you. I deliberately put these kind of options so that you reach some amount of clarity after you're done with these questions. A lot of times what happens is, if you're just revising in the form of notes, it does not. You generally don't pinpoint these different issues. When you do it in the form of a question, you will never forget it. So don't feel bad. This is just to help you with the last leg. With that, also I have added this: all loans given to MSME qualify for PSL, so that you have no problem when it comes to ready notes. Now let's go on to our next question. Everyone, please attempt the next question. It's important. You will be given 60 seconds and then we'll discuss the question. Done? Let's discuss this. First, let's see how many of you have voted for which option. Most of you have voted for B, which is 42%. Let's discuss. Of course, your friends have helped you in the chat section with the incorrect after you've attempted the question. So let's discuss this. Consider the following statements. Malviya mission aims to ensure that every child attains foundational literacy and numeracy by the end of grade 3. Is this the objective of the Malviya mission? That is incorrect. Had this been the objective of Malviya mission, the Nipun Bharat will not exist. The Nipun Bharat initiative is defining this particular statement. So Nipun Bharat is about ensuring, and this was after the National Education Policy of 2020, where we decided that we will make sure we have a target that foundational literacy, the basic ability to read and write in a normal language or a language known to the child, and basic mathematics, basic numeracy should be imparted to the children by the end of grade 3. That is Nipun Bharat. That is not Malviya Mission. Clear? So first is incorrect. If it is not Malviya Mission, let's understand what is the Malviya Mission. Again, you just need to remember the objective. If we give a lot of time on small schemes as well, we will not be able to cover a lot. So Malviya Mission, simply remember, is a teacher training program. Teachers which are teaching or educating in the higher education institutions. Clear? So what is the Malviya Mission? It is a teacher training program. The National Education Policy had also demanded, had also recommended that teachers should be given the required amount of skill, certain criteria should be specified, and in order to fulfill the recommendations of the National Education Policy, this mission was launched. So Malviya Mission is the teacher training program by UGC. Point number 1. Okay, it is to build capacity. Capacity building, what do you mean? Training, skilling of a lot of teacher in the higher education institutions. Remember, these are not secondary level teachers or primary level teachers, but these are teachers in the higher education institutions, non-technical higher education institutions. Please remember this 1 point, okay? And the second thing that we were talking about was the Nipun Bharat initiative, the national initiative for proficiency in reading with understanding and numeracy by grade 3rd. This is an objective, a particular criteria or a target that we have to achieve by 2026-2027. It's important so that you know these terms. These are important in the area of education. They had also earlier asked the Vidyanjali scheme, and that is why sometimes very small schemes in education also become important. Let's understand the second statement. PM Usha scheme aims to improve the quality of higher education in state universities. PM Usha scheme. Okay, what is Usha? It is giving you a little bit of a hint if you focus on it. Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan. What is Uchchatar Shiksha Abhiyan? Higher education. So that is absolutely correct. In this particular scheme, there will be some kind of grants that are provided by the center for the state universities to increase the performance of these industries, these institutions, to increase the academic levels of these institutions, better examination or assessment methods, etc. So PM Usha scheme aims to improve the quality of higher education in what? Not in primary, not in secondary, but in state universities. Please remember this, higher education in state universities. Absolutely correct. Now the third statement. Before we come there, let's discuss the third statement and then we'll see the scheme. States can only avail. When will states get a fund or a grant from the center? Only when they sign an MOU. What is an MOU? A memorandum of understanding, where they commit that they will fulfill or they will put into practice the recommendation of the National Education Policy 2020. So when they provide that obligation, when they take that responsibility that they will make reforms in the light of National Education Policy 2020, only then will they be provided this support or grant in the PM Usha scheme. So states can only avail the schemes, the funds from the center, if they sign an MOU which mandates the implementation of the National Education Policy 2020. Absolutely correct. Second and third are correct. Let's discuss this also. How many of the given statements is or are incorrect? It's asking, please always remember the keyword. It is a disaster. It is highly unfortunate if you know the question and in the examination you do not see the keyword. We will repeatedly make sure that we use this keyword so that you are in a habit of being extremely cautious when you see an MCQ in front of you. So how many of the given statements is or are incorrect? Only one statement is incorrect, making A as our answer. Is this understood? Only A is our answer. Let's discuss the last point. The PM Usha, again, just remember the objective, the quality, the overall, the aim is to increase the quality of the existing state higher education institutions by ensuring that they conform to prescribed norms in the form of academic syllabus, in terms of curriculum, in terms of assessment, etc. And an MOU is required. In order to ensure that they are following or they are basically applying the recommendations of the National Education Policy. Clear? Will this be a completely sector scheme? No. This will be partly funded by the center and partly funded by the scheme. So by the states. So the states that are interested can also provide their fund, but they will also have to basically come into an MOU, sign an MOU in order to take the grants from the center. If this is clear, now we will move on to our next question. Please see these pairs. Sometimes it's just important to know what a given term is related to. You cannot trust what will come, what will not. Of course, we try to keep it very relevant, but sometimes some small pairs, which are very peculiar, miscellaneous in nature, are also asked. So please attempt this and then we will discuss this. Last few seconds. Done? All right. So most of you, which is 52%, have voted for B, the option B. Let's discuss this and then we will come to a conclusion if most of you are right or not. Consider the following pairs. Amplify 2.0. Okay. Now again, these do not require a thorough investigation. They do not require a lot of detail. We will just simply note down the objective and move on. Amplify. Transparent and comprehensive database for urban governance. Absolutely correct. What is Amplify? Amplify is an initiative of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in order to provide a common portal where a lot of information of a lot of urban local bodies can be amalgamated so that any governance or any particular policy is data driven. We see the livability index, we see what particularly is important or what is provided in different cities, and on the basis of that data, policy is driven, decisions are driven, schemes are driven. So it's very, very important for data-driven policy making, an initiative of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, where the information about the Indian cities will be available on this platform and they can be accessed by academics, researchers, different stakeholders, the government, etc. The urban local bodies are supposed to add to this particular scheme by providing their data. So that is the idea of it. That is all that you need to know. What is the ministry and what is the objective? Amplify. Is this clear, everyone? The second initiative is, the hint is given in NE. PM Divine, NE. It is not relating to increasing tourism using pilgrimage clusters. It is development. It is development in the northeastern region, an extremely important area. Sometimes UPSC does focus on it. Okay, so PM Divine is incorrectly matched. Then what is PM Divine? Prime Minister's Development Initiative for the northeastern region, specific focus for the northeastern region, which is why you will observe that generally, even for the sponsored schemes, please note that even for the sponsored schemes where the general ratio is sometimes 60-40, 60 for the center and 40 for the states. In most of the sponsored schemes, sometimes the center provides 90% of the funds when it comes to the northeastern states. Why? Because additional assistance is required because of a disparity in development parameters. It's important. Okay, so that is why, imagine if a sponsored scheme is given that much importance. If a scheme is dedicated for the northeastern region, there are high chances that what will it be? It will be a central sector scheme. And central sector schemes mean 100% funding from the center. Is this clear? Yes. So this is what are the components of the scheme? The components are in order to increase the funds in infrastructure, so building roads, connecting few habitations which are not connected, connectivity, so for instance mobile towers, etc. So it could basically be any kind of infrastructural funding. Support to social development projects. What are social development sectors? Sectors such as health, sectors such as education. So these areas are lacking as compared to the national average. So there is a reason, there is a requirement to fill the development gaps. What do you mean by fill the development gaps? This is what we mean, that when it comes to HDI indicators, when it comes to health and education related indicators, some areas are falling back as compared to the national average. So they have to be given specific focus. Clear about this? PM Divine, understood? Yes. Now let's understand the third pair, Gajraj Suraksha. Of course, the term is giving you enough information. Gajraj will mean elephant, something for the conservation of elephants. Gajraj Suraksha. Now the idea is correct. The objective is correct, that it is to save elephants. But is it launched by the Wildlife Institute of India? Absolutely not. It is launched by the Ministry of Railways. There are a lot of instances where a lot of collision happens between these particular. PM Divine is Ministry of Northeast, Development of Northeast, donor. Clear? Alright. So Ministry of Railways is responsible for Gajraj Suraksha because a lot of railway tracks, railway tracks are maybe in elephant corridors and there is a lot of problem of collision. So that is why Ministry of Railways has started using technology in order to prevent these collisions. Okay. So it is not Wildlife Institute of India, it is Ministry of Railways. How many of the given pairs are correctly matched? Only one pair is correctly matched, therefore A is our answer. A is our answer. Not too much in this question. Let's just only see what Gajraj Suraksha is. Sometimes if they want to ask a few technologies involved, it is important. Can you tell me, a lot of elephant and man-animal conflicts were in the news relating to a lot of destruction caused by wild elephants, to the point that one state had to declare the man-animal conflict as a state emergency, a state-level disaster. Can you tell me which is that state which basically declared man-animal conflict as a disaster? Excellent, excellent. It is Kerala, the first state in India. It is not Karnataka, it is Kerala, the first state to declare man-animal conflict as a state disaster. Clear? All right, just some trivia on the side so that you are updated with everything. Let's discuss Gujarat Suraksha. Gujarat Suraksha is Ministry of Railways. It will use a lot of technology in the form of sensors. Sensors that will, in a way, tell or in a way inform if the elephants are coming closer to the railway lines. Pressure wave technology. What do you mean by pressure wave technology? How you have your landmines that can detect pressure, So pressure wave technology will detect the coming closer of those elephants in those areas, near those areas. So remember these terms: sensors, pressure wave technology, and AI. So whenever there is a command and algorithm is given, that whenever they detect some pressure, in order to basically notify on the system, they will use an algorithm and artificial intelligence. And how will the data be sent? The data will be sent using optical fiber cables so that there is no delay or latency in the transmission. So these are some technologies which are used. It should be enough. We don't have to go into a lot of details. Now please be ready for your next question. Consider the following statements. I understand Swachh Bharat mission was launched a while ago and it's been some time, so we will just keep it simple. The chances are less, but the only reason that I put this question here is because it was launched in 2014 and right now is 2024. Sometimes UPSC does ask question on a 10-year completion. So that's the objective. Please attempt this. Last few seconds. Done? B seems to be your favorite option. 52% of you have voted for B. Let's discuss this question now. Consider the following statements. Now, I have told you the only relevance, we don't have to get into very technical qualifications relating to open defecation free, what is ODF, what is ODF++. Simple understanding can also do. It was a scheme launched in 2014, but with an objective, and it has been extended. Phase 2 has been launched, but it has been 10 years, so it's important to at least know the objective of the same. Consider the following statements. All right, Swachh Bharat mission is being implemented by the Ministry of Jal Shakti in urban areas and the Ministry of Rural Development in rural areas. Is this correct? Is this correct? Absolutely, absolutely incorrect. The Swachh Bharat mission, let's understand this, is basically in the urban areas, the ministry responsible is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, and in the rural areas, the ministry responsible is Jal Shakti. Okay, so in rural areas is Ministry of Jal Shakti, in urban areas is Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Point number 1. What are the objectives of the Swachh Bharat mission? The objectives, of course, initially was to build toilets in order to eliminate open defecation, ODF. Clear? And in order to improve the solid waste management and disposal. After we are nearing the first phase or some objectives had been achieved, the second phase was launched. Now a lot of cities, a lot of villages had become ODF or open defecation free. So in the second phase, the objective or the focus was to sustain the ODF status, and also dive into more scientific management or techniques in order to dispose of waste or use a lot of waste to energy generation techniques. And also an important component of phase 2 is also wastewater. How wastewater in urban areas can be used again. They can be recycled and reused again in order to reduce the amount of waste that we produce. Clear? So that were the basic objectives of Swachh Bharat mission. Very old mission. Let's not get into too much of details right now. So the first is incorrect because the ministries are incorrect. The second, the Atal Bhujal Yojana. The Atal Bhujal Yojana is implemented only in a few states. A very important observation. It is not a scheme like other schemes which are implemented in the whole of the country. There are certain schemes which are only for the priority states, states which are battling a particular issue. And here the particular issue is what? A lot of groundwater stress, a lot of groundwater scarcity. So these are only, this particular scheme, Atal Bhujal Yojana, is implemented not, please remember the nots, it's as important as the correct option. So it is not in the whole country. Not in the whole country. It is only implemented in a few states which are the water stress states, groundwater stress states, and aims for sustainable groundwater management. So awareness generation, community participation, more technologies, more participation, important schemes. So that is the agenda. That is the focus of the Atal Bhujal Yojana. Some states like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, they are included in these particular, in the Atal Bhujal Yojana. They will not dive into a question where they ask you specific states, even if you remember that it is only for a few states, not for the whole country, you are sorted. So second is absolutely correct. Let's discuss the scheme also. Atal Bhujal Yojana is a central sector scheme for the sustainable management, of not surface water, not rivers, but groundwater. And the priority areas will be the stressed states, the groundwater stress states, not the whole country. Who is it supported by? It is supported by the World Bank. Another trick is sometimes when there is an MCQ that which particular scheme is supported by which international organization, tried to mark it as World Bank. We've been noticing that World Bank has been repeatedly helping in the execution or sponsoring a lot of schemes. Please do that. And now we'll come to option number 3. Jal Jeevan Mission. Jal Jeevan Mission aims to provide, what does it aim to provide? Tap water to every rural household by the year 2024. So it aims to provide functional household tap water connection to every rural household by the year 2024. Clear? So that they are provided with normal drinking water facilities, sanitation facilities. They do not have to go. Women are often walking miles in rural areas in order to fetch water, and that has to be done away with. So Jal Jeevan Mission is, the objective is to provide piped water. So a lot of pipelines will be constructed so that every household has a proper water connection and a tap for the same. So third is also correct. How many of the given statements is or are correct? It's asking 2 statements are correct, 1 statement is incorrect, making B as our answer. Congratulations, most of you have gotten this question right. Okay, let's also discuss Jal Jeevan Mission just briefly. Centrally sponsored scheme, household tap water for every rural household by 2024. Clear? All right. Please be ready for your next question, everyone. Consider the following statements. Important again. Last few seconds, everyone. Done? All right. Let's see how many of you have voted for which option. So there's a change in option today in this question. C it is. Let's discuss. Consider the following statements. Mishti initiative aims to increase intensive afforestation of coastal mangrove forests. Statement 1. Absolutely correct. The Mishti initiative is an initiative of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in order to sustain or help the mangrove cover, in order to increase the mangrove cover and give incentives to the local communities to take up the cultivation or to take up the preservation and conservation of the mangroves. Absolutely correct. So Mishti initiative is to increase intensive afforestation of coastal mangrove forests. Can you now tell me in the comment section which particular area provides for the maximum mangrove area in our country? What is that particular region that accounts for 60% of the mangrove area of this country? It is Sundarbans. Excellent, everyone. It is Sundarbans. Sundarbans accounts for 60% of India's mangrove area. It's a very important fact UPSC can ask you. If they don't ask you 60, they can ask you majority. More than 50% of the area under mangroves in India is Sundarbans. Absolutely important. Please answer another trivia for me. Do we have a larger part of the Sundarbans, or does Bangladesh have a larger part? Does Bangladesh have a larger part of Sundarbans, or do we have a larger part? Absolutely correct. It is Bangladesh. It is Bangladesh. Well done. So consider the following statements. Mishti we've already discussed. Let's see this. So what is the full form? Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Incomes. That is the Mishti initiative launched by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The convergence, how will the funding be done? There will be a convergence of the MG Narega funds and the Campa funds. The Campa funds are the compensatory afforestation funds. Financial assistance will be provided to the coastal communities in order to undertake mangrove cultivations. Why are mangroves important? It is a very important area for carbon sequestration. They also prevent the shorelines from being eroded. They protect again a lot of storms, cyclones, etc. So they are very, very important, and that is why this Mishti initiative. I've also added some more facts when it comes to prelims. Okay, so it says 60% of the mangrove area of India is accounted, or Sundarbans accounts for the same. The second important statement that can be formed is it is the only mangrove forest which is home to the tigers. Very important. It is a tiger reserve as well. In no other part of the world will you find a mangrove forest where a tiger population inhabits. It's very important to remember this statement. Only mangrove forest home to tigers. Clear? Obviously, the area is more in Bangladesh as compared to India. Sometimes, please note, now if they ask that which is the state line, or the state line joining Delhi and Bengaluru can be a question. If there can be a question on which particular river crosses the equator twice in an African continent, there can be a question that where is Sundarbans located? Please note the whole of Sundarbans is located south of the Tropic of Cancer. South of the Tropic of Cancer. Please note that it's an important point. It can be made into an MCQ. Is it a biosphere reserve? Yes. Is it a tiger reserve? Yes. Is it a national park? Yes. Is it a World Heritage Site? Yes. Is it a Ramsar wetland? Yes. Clear about this? So it becomes very, very important. While we were doing mangroves, I wanted one fact here in front of you so that's easier to revise. Clear? Now the second statement, the National Clean Air Program, NCAP, is implemented in all Indian cities and it aims to reduce the the particulate matter. PM is particulate matter levels by 20 to 30% by 2024. What is the problem in this statement? The problem in this statement is that it is not to be applicable. It is not applicable in all cities. Like how we had done, the Atal Bhujal Yojana was only for the water stressed regions. Therefore, this is also applicable only for those cities which are called the non-attainment cities. Non-attainment cities. Non-attainment of what? Non-attainment of the air quality standards. So there are national ambient air quality standards, national ambient air quality standards, and these cities for very long have not been, their pollution, their air quality is not matching these standards. Therefore, something has to be done, a targeted approach has to be done. So National Clean Air Program is not in all cities. It is only in a few non-attainment cities. That could just be 130 plus. You can just remember, they will not ask you the number, but this can be a question where they are asking you to eliminate that it is not in the whole country. Understood? All right. The second, let's discuss the NCAP and then we'll discuss this. The fourth question is also with the NCAP. Prana portal, which is portal for the regulation of air quality in the non-attainment cities, has been launched to monitor the implementation of the NCAP program. Monitor the implementation of the NCAP program, absolutely right. So if this is for the implementation of the NCAP program, please try to guess whose initiative is the Prana portal. Which ministry is involved? Which ministry is involved? Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So fourth is also absolutely correct. Let's discuss this first and when we come back to statement number 3. National Air Quality Program. So basically in a few non-attainment cities, okay, and it is an initiative of CPCB. What is CPCB? Can someone tell me what is CPCB? Central Pollution Control Board. Okay, so it is an initiative of CPCB and the idea is, so earlier there were some standards that 20 to 30% of the particulate matter pollution have to be reduced by 2024, the year 2024, and the target year or the reference year was taken as 2017. Now a few targets have been changed, which is why the reason why we had that statement wrong was not because of the target. I was just checking the application, if you know where all is it applied. Now it simply means that reduce the PM10 levels to the NAAQ standards, the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, by the year 2025-2026, and 40% reduction of pollution by 2025-2026. So that are the objectives. The earlier objectives were 20 to 30% reduction in particulate matter levels by 2024, with the reference year being 2017. That was earlier. Okay, you do not have to worry, they will not get into too many details. Okay, yes. And then we are talking about AQI. What is AQI? Ambient Air Quality Index. The air quality index that you see a lot in a lot of boards when you're traveling around the cities, where they would be showing the air quality. So what all is included has been a question, a PYQ. It's important to note that what are the pollutants on the basis of which they are deciding that if the AQI is poor, very poor or not. So of course the particulate matters are included, PM 2.5 and PM2. And PM10. NO2 and SO2 are included. Carbon monoxide, CO, carbon monoxide is included. O3, ozone is included. NH3, ammonia is included. And Pb, that is lead, is included. Clear? The only one thing which is not included is carbon dioxide. So if they say that carbon dioxide is one of the pollutants in the air quality index, it is an incorrect statement. It is an incorrect statement. Clear? Ground level ozone is also considered as a pollutant. Ozone, of course, in the stratosphere is a protective layer against the UV radiations, but ground level ozone is considered a pollutant. Clear about this? Yes. So that is why statement 3 is absolutely correct. Particulate matter 10 is included. Lead and ozone are pollutants in the National Air Quality Index. Absolutely correct. So out of the given statements, 3 statements are correct, 1, 3 and 4. And the second statement is incorrect. So how many of the given statements are correct? It is C. C is our answer. Very well done, you all. Very well done. Clear? CO2 is not included, Tushar. It's not included. That is exactly what the PYQ was. Even in prelims, they just needed you to remove CO2 from the option, and then all other options could be eliminated and you could reach the answer. So please make sure that you've taken this into account. Okay? All right. Statement 2 simply means, if there is a confusion in statement 2, it simply means, first and foremost, it is applicable only in a few cities, not in the whole country. Point number 1. Second point is that the earlier target was this, that they wanted to reduce the PM level, particulate matter level, by 20 to 30% by 2024, with the reference year 20 to 30% of what? Of 27 levels. So this was the earlier target, but now since the scheme has been extended, the particular initiative has been extended, so the targets have become more normal. They have changed. Okay, so they say 40% reduction. What we intend to do now is a 40% reduction in pollution levels by 2025-2026 and reduction of PM10 levels, not according to a percentage, but so that they come in the domain of the standards that are set in the National Ambient Air Quality. Clear? So that was the earlier targets, and this is the recent target. Clear? This is the recent initiative. That is the only difference. All right? Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next question now. Next question, again very important. Please attempt this and then we will discuss this. The road tap scheme. Done? All right. So most of you have voted. It's a very close call. C has 31% and D also has 31%. All right. Let's discuss this. Consider the following statements. The road tab scheme. What is the road tab scheme? Road tab scheme is basically remissions of duties and taxes. Remissions of duties and taxes on export products. Okay. So that the exports are not carrying the burden of a particular tax on them, and it had to be compliant because of WTO norms as well. So remission of duties or taxes on export products is the term. So first statement says the road tab scheme provides rebates. So how you have input credits in your GST, where you can use the input particularly for filing your own taxes. A particular manufacturer or a particular business unit can do that. Similarly, here also you will get a rebate on any tax that you have paid, whether it's a state tax or it's a central tax that has not been refunded under any other mechanism, so that your exports are zero taxed. They are not taxed. Clear? So it provides rebates for all. Point number one is important. It provides rebate for all hidden central taxes but not state taxes on exported goods that have not been refunded under any other existing scheme. It is incorrect. Any tax or duty, so taxes and duties both of the center as well as the states are given as a rebate, both the particular ones. So center as well as states. An example being, for instance, in the transport cost for diesel or for petroleum or for oil, if there is a duty, excise duty or a VAT that is applied. So excise duty is applied by the center and VAT is applied by the state. That can be remitted. That can be remitted. Clear? So that is why it is not just the center but also center and the states. First statement is incorrect. Incorrect. The rebate cannot be availed. Second statement. The rebate cannot be availed for re-exported goods. Isn't this a logical answer? Isn't this logical that if there is an export, if I am a manufacturer or I am an exporter and I am importing any good, I'm importing any good that is not made in India, that is not made by the country, and I am exporting that particular imported group. It's called re-export, right? So that will of course not be eligible for the road tab scheme because the manufacturing has not been done in India. Clear? So second was easy. The rebate cannot be availed for re-exported groups. Absolutely correct. Third statement, goods exported through e-commerce platforms are not eligible under the scheme. Why? If the goods are produced, if they are produced, they are made in India, manufactured in India, and if they are sent by a port, an Indian port, they are exported through India, whether it is bought on a e-commerce website or not, does not matter. It will be included. They are eligible. Clear? Because the export is happening from the country. The manufacturing has happened in the country. So the goods exported through e-commerce platforms are not eligible is incorrect. It is incorrect. Clear? The fourth statement is the scheme is not applicable. It is not applicable to goods from all sectors, and there are turnover restrictions as well. Absolutely incorrect. Please remember this going forward, that it is applicable. If they say that road tab scheme is only applicable to particular sectors, manufacturing from particular sectors, no. All sectors, goods from any sector are eligible in terms of this scheme. It does not have any turnover restrictions. Clear about this? This is important to mark. No turnover restrictions. No turnover restriction and no sector restriction. Clear? There is generally a confusion. They can only frame questions in such a way. That is why I am providing it here for you, so that you don't confuse. You are clear with this scheme. So out of the four questions or the statements, only one statement is correct. The other three are incorrect, and it is asking for the incorrect statement. So our answer is D. That is 1, 3 and 4. Our answer is D. Only the second statement is correct. Other statements are all incorrect. Let's quickly have a look at this scheme. So remission of duties or taxes on export products, it is a scheme of which ministry? It is a scheme of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Ministry of Commerce and Industry. But please note, when it says administered, who is it administered by? This scheme is administered by the Department of Revenue of Ministry of Finance. Why? Because the tax rebates that have to be processed in the form of e-scripts are the domain of Ministry of Finance, Department of Revenue. Clear? So this is important to note, and that is why it is a scheme of Ministry of Commerce and Industry but administered by the Ministry of Finance, because there is some reimbursement, some rebate in the form of taxes that is given back to the exporters. Clear about this particular point? It has replaced the merchandise export incentive scheme. Okay, so it has replaced this scheme and it has come in that place. If they say, is it WTO compliant? Yes, it is WTO compliant. Clear about this? The third important point is the reimbursement of which taxes? Taxes only of the center? No. Taxes both of the center as well as the states. Clear? All right. What will be the refund? The refund will be in the form. The refund will go to the account in the form of e-scripts. There will be a ledger, a sort of a portal, an account where your e-scripts will be provided. Clear? Your e-scripts will be provided, which can be used later by the exporter in order to do away with any other tax liability that they have. Clear? So these will be, the e-ledgers maintained by CBIC. Okay, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, and these can be used as inputs. Very important. Is it applicable to just a few sectors? We have understood that there is no restriction applicable to all sectors, no turnover restrictions as well. Also, the goods exported through the e-commerce. Now, please understand, there is only buying and selling on e-commerce. Yes, so buying and selling can be, but if they are manufactured in India and they exported maybe from Indian ports through Indian shipping, etc., they can be understood as export and they can be eligible for the same. So goods exported even or sold even on the e-commerce websites are considered or are eligible. It is of course not applicable to the re-exported goods. That is a very logical point. Clear? Yes. So if every important point is noted, the MCQ will not go ahead of these pointers. These are general ways. Please notice, even when you look at the previous year questions, UPSC does not focus a lot on facts, very minute details. It is also not possible for you to remember facts of around 500 schemes. Which number, what is the amount, what is the turnover? They generally ask questions in these kind of statements. In statements where they are asking, is there a restriction or not? Is it applicable to all sectors or not? So it's a very general way of asking. Please make sure that you know these kind of trends when you are preparing or revising. It will make your preparation easier. You do not have to remember everything. You also cannot. Okay, let's move on now to our next question. Consider the following statements. Very important, biofuels is a evergreen topic because of the emphasis given by the present government. Also, there was a PYQ which I will discuss while I'm discussing the question. Please attempt this. Last few seconds, everyone. Done? You all have chosen your favorite option, which is B. Most of you have gone ahead with this. Let's discuss this. Yes, what seems off was actually off, Antara. So you should have focused on that. Let's figure out the question now. Consider the following statements. According to the amended, now there was a national biofuels policy in 2018, okay? Now, please understand the context. The context was there was a national biofuels policy which basically specified what all can be used as a feedstock for the production of biofuels, be it bioethanol, be it biodiesel, what is permitted, what can be used. That was the agenda of the policy, as well as a few targets when it comes to the blending of ethanol in, for instance, petrol, etc. Because the policy was announced in 2018, there was a question in 2020. There was a question in 2020. Seeing that trend, this particular policy was amended in 2022. Right now, it was amended in 2022. We are giving the 2024 prelims. It is possible that they ask you what that change is. What is that change according to the previous policy? Clear? So that is why it is important for us to do that. Of course, the second important context is the Global Biofuels Alliance, which is India's initiative, and this initiative was launched not on the sidelines of the COP28, but on the sidelines of the G20 summit in 2023 that was held in India in New Delhi. So it's important to note that, very, very important. Okay. So according to the amended, let's understand the question now. According to the amended National Biofuels Policy, that is the 2022 amendment, surplus food grains can be used as a feedstock, for biofuel generation if it is declared, if it is permitted by the Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Incorrect. Now, is the first part incorrect? Please answer this question. Can surplus food grains be used for biofuels? Can surplus food grains be used? Answer that in the comments, please. Can surplus food grains be used for the production of biofuels? They can be used. That is the revision in the current policy. The earlier policy did not allow for this use, but the current policy allows for the use. They can be used. Point number 1 is correct. But the permission or who defines that now it is surplus or not is not Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution, but it is a particular body, a particular committee called the National Biofuels Coordination Committee. The National Biofuels Coordination Committee. Very important. Who chairs the particular committee? Who chairs the community? The chairman of the community is the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. The Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas is the chairman or chairperson of this particular committee. And when this committee approves and says that maybe in terms of the trends, the agricultural trends, there is a surplus of food grains, then those food grains can be used. Otherwise, there is a problem. Otherwise, generally for biofuels, the feedstock that competes with food grains or which is consumed by humans is not considered good to be used. It's not allowed that it can be used, right? So agricultural residue can be used, paddy straw can be used, anything that is not competing with the food production, with the food availability can be used, right? But in this case, in the revised policy, if the permission or if it is certified by the National Biofuels Coordination Committee, which is chaired by the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, it can be used. So if there is a sweeping statement that according to the biofuel policy, no surplus food grains can be used, that statement will be incorrect. It can be used as long as it's certified or permitted by this committee. Is this clear? It is a classic way of forming an MCQ. So that is why first statement is incorrect. The first part is correct, but this is incorrect. Clear about the differentiation? Yes. Now let's go on to point number 2. Global Biofuels Alliance is a multi-stakeholder initiative. Multi-stakeholder initiative means governments are participating, academic institutions are participating, industries participating in order to increase the production, the acceptability of the biofuels. Yes, so as to have more greener options, lesser reliance on fossil fuels. That is the agenda. So Global Biofuels Initiative or Alliance is important because it is our initiative. It is an initiative of India, launched not on the sidelines of COP28 but on the sidelines of G20. G20. Clear about this? G20 that happened in 2023 under the presidency of India. Perfect. So that is why second statement is incorrect, because it is not correctly matched with the time of implementation. Clear? Third important question is, now please understand, that is why I've written a whole list so that if there is a question, the PYQ that they had asked, they had given point number 1, 2, 3, 4. For instance, cassava was given, groundnut seeds were given, rotten potatoes were given, and they had asked which of the given statements or products can be used for the production of biofuels. That was the PYQ. That can be asked again in the form of the surplus food grain question. Okay, so it's important to note what is allowed and what is not. Please remember that groundnuts, okay, when you are talking about groundnut, what is it? It is an edible oil. It is an oil seed, right? So for biodiesel production, no edible oil seeds can be used. Okay, so non-edible oil seeds will be used. Non-edible. We are anyway, yesterday we had we have been trying to increase our edible oil seeds production. We've been trying to increase or reduce our edible oil imports, and that is why will we permit our oil seeds to be used in biofuel production? So groundnut seeds is an edible oil or an edible oil seed, and that is why it is incorrect. Edible oil seeds cannot be used. The second is horse gram. It is a kind of a legume, also used maybe in the form of sprouts, but eaten by the people. So it is a kind of legume and therefore consumed, and therefore it cannot be. Jatropha oils, the jatropha oils can be used. Even for biodiesel, the repurposed or the reused cooking oil can be used for producing biodiesel. So those are the other aspects, but you can remove any oil seeds which is used. For example, mustard cannot be used, rapeseed cannot be used. We've done these examples. They cannot be used because they're competing with other areas. Yes, rotten potatoes. There is a trick. Whenever they say paddy straw, agricultural waste, rotten potatoes, rotten straw, or spoiled food grains, that will always be clear. Because they cannot contest, or you're not limiting food security in that context. You are just taking the rotten potatoes, and that is absolutely correct. So in the given choices, rotten potatoes can be taken, but horse gram and groundnut seeds cannot be taken. Okay, so that is why this is incorrect. Third. Now fourth, castor oil, etc., cottonseed oil can be used for biodiesel production. That is not really competing with edible oil. They are not used for consumption or oil consumption generally. So that is absolutely fine. Even neem oil can be used. Clear? So fourth statement is, now when we launched the Global Biofuel Alliance, it was very important to note whether the two countries which are contributing to almost 80 80% of the global biofuel production or the global ethanol production are joining the alliance or not. And they did. First is USA. USA accounts for almost 50% of ethanol production. And the second is the country Brazil. That contributes to almost 30% of global production, together amounting to almost 80% of global production. These two countries have already become part of the Global Biofuels Alliance. This can also be asked in terms of trends. Who is contributing the most? USA is contributing the most. Clear? All right. So USA is the largest producer of biofuels, which is ethanol here, bioethanol. Okay, so this is absolutely correct. Fourth is correct. How many of the given statements is or are correct? The answer is A. Only one statement is correct out of all the statements given. Clear? A is the correct answer, not B. Not B. Favorite option B is not correct, unfortunately. Okay, so please make note of this. This is very important. Biofuels are always been in the news, an important area to study. I've written it in the form of notes so that you don't have a problem. Scope of feedstock, it basically, what has the new policy done or the amendments done? It has increased the scope. What do you mean by increase the scope? More and more products or crops now will be allowed to be used as feedstock for biofuels production. Point number one. Point number two, surplus food grains can be used. We've understood, provided that they are approved by which committee? Remember this, National Biofuels Coordination Committee, chaired by the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas. What are the possible feedstocks that can be used? Molasses can be used, sugarcane can be used, okay? Biomass can be used, agriculture, biomass can be like dung, etc. Agri residue, paddy problem is a big problem. The paddy straw problem, the burning of the paddy straw problem in states like Punjab and Haryana is a big problem. So that is why we are incenting those states, incentivizing those farmers in order to have an income increase, an opportunity to have an extra income by selling their paddy straw to these bioethanol or bio-CNG plants and gaining more income of the same. So paddy straw can also be used, cotton stalk can also be used, sweet sorghum can also be used. In starch you can use starch containing crops can be cassava, rotten, please understand, waste, agri, residue, rotten. These are all your terms which will be correct because they are not competing. The idea is they are not competing. Okay, and for biodiesel, please remember the trick that it will be non-edible oils. Edible oils or edible oil seeds will not be used because we are taking away from the edible oil production. It is competing. Clear? So non-edible oils in the form of jatropha oil, used cooking oil, this was also an initiative, etc. Okay, of course the target is 20% of blending of ethanol in petrol by the year 2025-2026. Is this understood? Global biofuels policy is here. It is a multi-stakeholder alliance. Remember G20, the year 2023 and India's initiative. Has USA joined? Yes. Has Brazil joined? Yes. How much do they contribute to? Almost 80% together. USA being the biggest producer. It becomes important. These facts, it's very normal for UPSC to club these trends, to club these facts along with a scheme, along with an alliance, along with an international initiative. They do that. That is why I wanted to provide this as well, so that you are not lost. You don't have to go separately and search for these important facts related to the given topic. Clear? If biofuels is clear, now we will move on to also an important area here is algae. Algae and seaweed can also be used. Please note this down. Algae and seaweed can also be used for biofuels production. Clear? All right. Yes, first generations are those, Anurag, which is why it is not considered the best, because they compete, they are problematic in the issue of food security. That is why. Clear? Yes. All right. Let's move on to our next question now. Consider the following statements. Our second last question. We just have one more question after this. Please attempt it with utmost focus. Consider the following statements. Important social security schemes. These are areas that UPSC likes to ask. They have asked the Atal Pension Yojana before. So on the lines of that, we are also exploring some other schemes. Done? All right. Let's see what you have voted for. All right. Maximum of you have again voted for option B. Let's analyze this question. Do not skip it. There is no negative marking here. Try to use all the logic that is possible. Here is the best place for you to try every kind of technique that you will be employing in the coming examination. Do not skip the question. In fact, the best way is to attempt it live so that you are participating as well. Consider the following statements. Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Scheme. Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandhan Scheme is an accidental insurance scheme for the workers in the unorganized sector whose monthly income, now there is an income cap in terms of eligibility, whose monthly income is up to rupees 15,000 per month. Is this true? The income cap is true. The income cap is not something that we were testing you on. We were testing you on the objective, on the type of the scheme. What is the objective? It is not accidental insurance. It is a pension scheme. Do you understand? So even like this in UPSC, do not get bogged down by figures. Sometimes what they are testing is not figures. The question can be solved only also if you know the objective and you can eliminate the same. Clear? So the income cap is correct, that it is for the unorganized workers. It is for the unorganized workers whose income is below 15,000 per month. Clear? But it is not accidental insurance. It is a pension scheme. So statement 1 is incorrect because of the objective. Okay? Statement 2. Pradhan Mantri Laghu Vyapari Mandhan Scheme. Now, what are the Laghu Vyaparis? Basically, the small traders, the retailers, normal shopkeepers. So, this is a pension scheme for the scheme. Is a pension scheme for small traders and retailers whose annual turnover, there is a cap again, like how 15,000 per month was a cap in Shram Yogi. In Laghu Vyapari also there is a cap of the turnover. So, their turnover cannot exceed 1.5 crores. Cannot exceed 1.5 crores. Absolutely correct. Second statement is correct in the form of eligibility also and the cap as well. Clear? All right. Statement 3. Statement 3. The contribution of the beneficiary is required in the Laghu Vyapari Yojana for the premium. Now, who is giving the premium? Is the government covering the whole premium? There has to be a contribution from the beneficiary or not? That becomes a statement. I gave you a way to do these schemes even yesterday. Yes? So the statement is saying the contribution of the beneficiary is required in the Laghu Vyapari Yojana, but the premium is fully funded by the government in case of the PM Shram Yogi Mandhan scheme. It is not. Both the schemes as well as the PM Kisan Mandhan that we had done, you need. Please just remember, don't get into 55 rupees or 200. Remember that the premium has to be contributed by or whose contribution is required, that the beneficiary's contribution is required as well as equally supported by the government. But fully covered by the government is not correct. Just remember this and you will be sorted. So both the particular schemes will be where the premium has to be given also by the beneficiary. It's of course voluntary, but the contribution has to be given. Of course, the contribution is very small, around 55 to 200 rupees. Okay, in the age group. The age group is also scheme. You can enroll in the scheme in the age group of 18 to 40, and then you will get pension benefits, suppose worth 3,000 a month after 60. After 60. Clear? Again, but I did not test you on that. I just tested you if the government alone is providing or the beneficiary also. UPSC will also do that, so do not get too stressed out, especially when you're nearing the exam, about a lot of facts and figures. Okay, so statement 3 is incorrect. What about statement 4? LIC is the pension fund manager of both the schemes. LIC is the pension fund manager of both the schemes. Absolutely correct. LIC is the common manager or the pension fund manager of both the schemes, and therefore your answer is absolutely right. B is the answer. B is the answer. 2 statements are correct and 2 statements are incorrect. We'll quickly do a comparison between the 2 schemes like we did. Okay? Alright. So PM Shram Yogi Mandhan and PM Laghu Vyapari Mandhan. This is the comparison. Both are, what is the nature of the schemes? Both are pension schemes. What will you get? The beneficiary will get? The beneficiary will get 3,000 rupees per month after attaining the age of 60. 3,000 rupees per month. What is the eligibility? When can you join it? You can join it in the age of 18 to 40. It's the same for Laghu Vyapari also, 18 to 40. Shram Yogi, the eligible beneficiaries are the unorganized sector workers which are earning less than 15,000 rupees a month. Versus the Laghu Vyapari are small scale traders and retailers whose turnover is less than 1 crore. Yes? Do the beneficiaries have to contribute in both the schemes? The answer is yes. Is this simple to understand now? The comparison. So beneficiaries, both the schemes are, the contribution is needed. The government will provide equal contribution, and LIC is the pension fund manager for both the schemes. And it's also important to note that the ministry for the 2 schemes is also the same. It is the Ministry of Labour and Employment. Ministry of Labour and Employment. Clear about this? So this is all that is required for you to solve your MCQ. If it goes beyond this, trust me, it will be difficult for everyone to solve. So try to cover more areas, get through basic points that can be formed into an MCQ, and move on to the next areas. Clear? Now let's come to our last question for the evening. Again, very important. Please attempt this and then we will wrap up. How your Chandrayaan mission was very important. Your Samudrayaan mission can also be very important. So please attempt this. Done? Few more seconds. All right, let's discuss this. Consider the following statements. The Samudrayan project, how you had your Chandrayaan project, which was a manned mission. The plan was to send a manned mission also after some time, after a soft landing, etc. So Samudrayan mission is also important because we want to particularly explore 6,000 meters below the sea level, or basically the ocean resources, which can help us in our blue economy initiative to explore the marine resources which can be used. For example, a lot of marine resources, a lot of polymetallic modules are found in the Indian Ocean seabed, which are often contested by a lot of countries, and you need the permission of the International Seabed Authority. So in that context, it's important, and Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Earth Sciences has launched the Deep Sea Mission. And Samudrayan project is a subset, a component of the Deep Sea Mission. Clear about this? So Deep Sea Mission is to basically explore the marine resources. Under this particular mission, the Samudrayan project is a component of the Deep Sea Mission, which will involve India's first manned, what do you mean by manned? A crew can go in, first manned submersible mission. Submersible mission is that they will go almost to a depth of 6,000 meters and therefore explore the marine resources, the ocean resources, etc. Okay, so this is absolutely correct. The Samudrayan project is related to that. The second option is INS Kalvari. INS Kalvari has been designated or designed to be used as a submersible vehicle for this mission. Incorrect. INS Kalvari is a class of submarines, not a submersible vehicle. Okay, the particular vehicle that was in the news, which is why we are doing the Samudrayan project, is Matsya 6000 for 6,000 meters deep. Clear? It is Matsya 6000, not INS Kalvari. That is a submarine, but a submersible vehicle is different. Clear? So that is why second statement is incorrect. What about the third statement? The Affinity Nikitin. The Affinity Nikitin is a seamount, is an important seamount. What are seamounts? Seamounts are generally landforms on the ocean floor that are a result of a lot of maybe volcanic activity, where there is deposition of volcanic materials almost leading to a seamount, a conical shaped seamount being framed. Sometimes they also come above water and can actually look like islands in a particular ocean. Clear? So these seamounts, where there is a lot of volcanic activities, they are also important because a lot of important polymetallic modules, metallic sulfides are coming up from the Earth's crust. They are coming up in the form of these particular eruptions, and these are generally situated. Where you get the minerals in the Indian Ocean or in any other ocean are generally areas where there is tectonic plate divergence. So this particular seamount that India has been interested in fact, we have asked for the permission from the International Seabed Authority in order to explore this particular area, extremely rich in cobalt. Cobalt is a very important mineral. It has been asked twice in PYQs, which is why this exploration or where it is located also becomes important. Okay. So Nikitin is a seamount rich in cobalt and other polymetallic nodules, is situated in the Indian Ocean region. Absolutely correct. It is situated in the Indian Ocean region. If you want to remember, you can also remember another word called Carlsberg Ridge. Carlsberg Ridge also in the Indian Ocean region, very important in the context of polymetallic nodules, etc. Clear? Yes. So that is why it's important. How many of the given statements is or are correct? Only 2 statements are correct, making you very happy for one last time with option B. Clear about this? One statement is incorrect. Okay, all right. Please do not make this assumption if you are going for prelims. Option B can be sometimes correct here. UPSC Prelims does not work on these kind of patterns. Okay, so do not make that assumption that B is my safest bet. That is a very big disaster. Do not do that. All right. So deep sea mission, quickly, it is the mission is an initiative of Ministry of Earth Sciences. The aim is to explore the marine resources, which can be very important in the form of polymetallic nodules, etc. Cobalt rich region that we were talking about. Also important for ocean climate change advisory services, and to explore renewable energy technologies that can be used for maybe desalinization of water. Samudrayan is a component of the deep sea mission, and it is the first manned, it will be the first manned ocean mission of India, and it will be conducted using the indigenously developed Matsya, not INS Kalvari, but Matsya 6000. That is the submergence or the submersible vehicle that you need to remember when it comes to. Desalinization is basically using saline water and taking out the salts, removing the salts in order to make it fit for use. So basically taking brackish water and making it fit for use. So that is desalinization. Clear? So with this, we've come to an end of today's questions. Before you leave, and very important announcements, if you are looking to buy a Plus subscription, also I've attached one International Seabed Authority. You need the permission of the same, and India has applied for it. This was the context why your seamount was important. Indian Ocean region, please remember, rich in cobalt, please remember. Okay, so before we leave, please make sure that if you are wanting to buy a Plus subscription on the Unacademy platform, the time is right, because the prices are as low as 29,999. Make sure that you check out this 15th month subscription. Also, a lot of new batches are going live on the end of this month, so you will not be missing out. You can start afresh with a new batch. If there are any queries, feel free to call on this number and your queries will be answered. Thank you so much for your time. If you have been liking this initiative, please do not forget to pour in your love in the form of comments, shares, like, and of course subscription of the channel. It means a lot to us. It keeps us motivated in whatever we are doing. I will see you again at the same time tomorrow on the same channel at 7:30 for Government Schemes Part 3. Make sure that you attend the session live so that we can interact and make the most of it. Thank you everyone. Please take care. Allow me to sign off now. Good night.